Bruce, I'll put that question to you. How big of a deal is the Brexit uncertainty right now, which is deepening by the minute, for U.S. equity investors?
No, I think it's part of the overall problem. I think the markets are struggling trying to price in the new developments, and those being that the global economy is in recession, and that appears to be worsening, and the slowdown in the U.S. economy and what that means for corporate profits. I think we're going through that adjustment now, and I think it's likely to continue as we enter the new year.
Dan, you agree with that pessimistic take? A global recession? I don't know. I mean, the global economy is still expected to grow 3.7% this year.
Yeah, no, there's so many divergences. You talked about, normally in an economic cycle, the U.S. has kind of led growth so far. Then you get a rotation into developed markets like Europe. But it's not only the U.K. Look at France. Look at Italy. So I do think that is ironically putting pressure, people moving back into dollars, back into treasuries. We've seen the flattening of the yield curve. But still, on the other hand, you're still seeing good earnings coming out. Look at the ISM. I think that's a key indicator. From its all-time high of, not all-time, but it's a cyclical high of 61. We're still above around 58, 59 in that number, which doesn't indicate any type of pullback or recession. So it does seem short-term. People are trying to figure out what the market will do, but fundamentals still seem good. It does seem to be a little early to be calling for recessions.
Dan, another 6-month intraday low today as we are right at 2,600. People had talked about 2640, 2630 being a level you had to defend. What happens if we slice through this?
Yeah, then I think you do have to look at the policy. I think Bob Pisani mentioned as well. We're right on that low. I think you do have to reassess. And as you look into 2019, the impact on earnings. And I think on the consumer side, if you really look, we got off to a good start with consumer spending. Costco had plus 9% same-store sales. But then on the other hand, we're seeing decelerated home prices on the coast. So I do think if we break down through 2,600, fundamentals continue to become questionable, then you really have to start thinking in 2019 about those estimated earnings estimates.
Bruce, if there's success in the trade talks with China, what is that going to mean for the market?
Well, I think the trade talks with China are much more complicated than just an agreement on some local tariffs. So I think that's going to be a long-term development, and I don't think it's going to have a real influence on the markets over the near term. Now, with that said, most of the foreign stock markets are down this year. The equity markets are really one of the best indicators of future economic growth. And the fact that Germany is down 20%, China's down 20%, and now the U.S. has joined the downturn also, that's what suggests to us that the global economy is in recession or on the verge of recession. The U.S. we don't think is going to enter recession. We think there's going to be a slowdown here, but that's going to influence corporate profits to a certain extent. What we don't like here are the technicals. We think the volatility in the market is likely to surge from here, and we would measure that by a 35 reading on the VIX. We also believe the market is plagued by this strong and persistent downside momentum. Okay. And until that's broken, I think the markets remain vulnerable.